been following you, had a chance to hear you talk about anything, man. My comments and DMs been going. And somebody told me, man, it's 8:32. I was like, oh my bad, man. We getting going.
Nah,
So
it was my fault. I was in traffic. I didn't want to be going live from the driver's seat and saying the safest thing. But
understood, man. So we're gonna dive in.
hey,
We got about
Kev,
three.
just cut it up a little bit. Like my bad.
No, you go. We got about three or four topics that we wanna jump into tonight. But before we get going, man, just tell us what's been going on with Star, man. Where you been? What you been up to? What's new? Kind of how you been feeling? Every time I talk to a brother in these days, first thing I want to ask him is how you been feeling, man. Because I be all over the place every day. So let's start right there. Like, how you feeling? What's going on right now? How you feeling?
Uh, I mean, I feel well. I'm actually kind of tired, but that's not new. Like I'm in work mode, like literally at the moment. So it's demanding, and I'm kind of upside down in terms of sleep. But that's kind of almost my comfort zone, just as far as grinding it out. But I'm just overall some life stuff. I'm probably like as like happy and content as I've ever been. So that's you know a blessing to be able to say.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Appreciate everybody that's tapped in, man. We about 2 minutes into Power Talks with Starlito, man. I tell people all the time, one of the first entrepreneurs I knew, one of the first dream builders I knew, aside from some of the other things that we'll talk to, man. But you talked about being happy and content. Um, when I was putting the flyer together for tonight's talk, I went to your page like I do for everybody, whether it's Rob Hill or Alicia, and I saw first thing in your bio, capital letters, father, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like, that's tight. So talk to us about that. What's that? I mean, my mama called me last week and was like, she ready for some grandbabies, and I'm like, Mom, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? So what's that fatherhood thing been like for you?
It's like biggest blessing, greatest accomplishment. I mean, that's its own subject matter all itself. Life changing thing, experience, ordeal, never ending. I had a good friend. Matter of fact, Coach Penny Collins at TSU. We were talking right around the time I became a father, and he was like, as a parent, you something's mom shared with him, like your job is never done, and you never stop worrying. It's like even at where we are into adulthood in our careers, like every time he's gotten a weight gain or his mom worries the same as when we were kids and you left the house to go party or something. It's like the same thing. And when he first told me that, like I totally understand it. Like I'm out of town now working, and that's how it goes. It's like I put that first as I feel like that defines me. That's who I am more than anything I've done or what I do professionally or whatnot. Like that's what I feel like my role is, and owning and accepting it and enjoying it. I love it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Let's go forwards, backwards for a minute. So I want you to talk to. So now as you look and you see like adult Jermaine, right? How do you think
Everybody don't
14,
know me
15?
since middle school, Pat. Just so you know,
Right.
but my bad. I'm
I'm,
answering your question. That's
I'm
just
sorry.
funny. It's like, nah, you ain't gotta apologize. It's funny.
How you how if you what how you think 14, 15, 16-year-old Jermaine would feel about the person you are today? And if you could tell him something today, what would you tell him? And I'm gonna say the reason I ask is because when we talk about like I tell people like what I do for a living, like when my mom first came and saw me, she was like, "Oh yeah, that's you." You know what I'm saying? But sometimes I always ask myself like versus where I thought I would be at this space versus if I could talk to who I was in that space. And when you talk about being happy and being content, I think it comes with that level of peace about this is where I am. This is what I'm happy about. These are the things I've been through and they molded me. So if you could talk to your old self, what would you tell them? And how you think your old self would feel about your new self? Like, is it shocking? Is it totally different the place you in versus where you thought you would be?
Um, if I think my former self, my younger self, wouldn't entirely be surprised by where I am, or what I've, I guess, accomplished, if you will. Uh, because around that age you spoke of, 14, 15, when I was like 15 years old, I told myself I would never work for anybody, like in a traditional sense. I mean, I think we all might work with and for, depending on the task or however it goes. But the one job I ever had was at a dry cleaners, and I got fired for, I mean, I guess nothing would be the best way to, a coworker, like, kind of, I mean, hating sometimes seems like a cop out to say somebody was hating on you, but I was a teenager, this was a grown person, you know what I'm saying? Grown ass man, like, went out his way, and yeah, it was just weird. I don't know if it was racial, I don't know if it was just, he had tenure there, and just,
Yeah,
he
10 year
didn't
at the
like,
dry cleaner.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was. This is my point. I don't want to tell the story exactly as it happened because it's just silly, but it was like somebody telling your boss on you, and I think it started with like me. So, sorry about that. I should have put my phone on do not disturb. But regardless, long story short, I got fired for the dumbest of reasons or the dumbest of scenarios, and it was like the perfect job because it was right across the street from where I practice AAU, so I could like leave work, walk to AAU practice. It's not old enough to drive or nothing like that. And when I got fired, like, moms went so hard on me, made me apologize for something I didn't even do, and it was like, you gonna go get your job, that kind of thing, like having to plead to these people about nothing and not getting the job back. I was like, right at that moment, like, man, I ain't never,
Can't
like,
do it.
the whole structure, like working for somebody for $7 an hour, whatever it was, like at that time, it was first job type of time. Like, I'm like, nah, this ain't for me. It's like, things happen and can just light a fire within you. Not to mention just having kind of wanted to come in at a faster rate, if you will. Like, even then, like, I don't know. So I say on certain levels, my younger self wouldn't be entirely surprised that I figured out something to do that I could define my own terms, work for myself, create my own hours. I don't have to go suit and tie. I can dress like a ball player, dress like I did then. I wear, athletic gear every day or to work or whatnot.
Athleisure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but what I would tell my former self is, just like be mindful, everything counts, and like brick by brick mentality. I think something that I soaked up over time, but early on it was like that impatience. Like I said, wanting at a fast rate, realizing you're not gonna necessarily get to where you want to go when you want to get there. But it's value in the slow and steady, the long play, the journey at large. Like, enjoy the journey, as they say. And I would have told myself like not to be afraid of success because at some point when I was younger, that was probably a real thing, and you don't probably realize it until you step back and view things differently. Like, when I was young and first getting into all this, the first taste of success, the first progress I was making, I ain't really know how to handle it, and it's like almost like I was surprised that things was working, even though I mean I had worked hard for them to work even by 19 years old, something like that. By the time I'm sitting in meetings for record deals, it was always like almost like a surreal kind of feeling. Instead of later, I would just embrace that. Like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, this what it is. Like, sometimes it wasn't like doubt. Like, I mean, I took every step I was supposed to take, but we can self sabotage and everything as a result of, I don't know if it's like fear in the sense that we
For
might
sure.
look at it, but just gotta embrace your journey.
So everybody that I've talked to on this series, man, they talk about some level of that, right? They talk about some level of like fear or doubt or questioning as it relates to when they started to see when they started to see success. But the the thing that kind of ties it all together is like what you do in that moment, right? So for you, you're talking about like 18 or 19. We talked about Rob Hill, and he talked about his time in the Navy. Or when Alicia was on here, she talked about just those night after night, scoring 30, 40. Like, what what was that moment when it kind of hit the next gear for you? Like, I'm doing it. There's still some doubt here. I'm doing it. I know where I want to go. I think I'm gonna get there. But this moment or this instant or this opportunity was now. I was like, oh yeah, this for real.
Uh, I can't pinpoint a specific moment because that like I've had a long journey and a lot of ebbs and flows, a lot of ups and downs to the point where maybe I had several of those moments, and maybe it wasn't just a grand awakening. I can say maybe I had was fortunate enough to have a lot of chances. I probably messed it up a time or two, had all the signs that things was trending in the right way, and like I said, self sabotage or whatever. Like being young, you bump your head sometimes, but
Sure.
that was several times. Like I can remember a road trip to New. I had a show in Clarksville. It was probably 2004, and got off stage and drove to New Orleans for the Essence Festival. It was like probably 4th of July weekend or something, and getting to like a pool party and being introduced to Lil Wayne and Birdman and Embrace, and probably a month later being at the house off Cribs or BT Home Living or whatever it was at the time, recording music and out like for somebody that just started putting out music like 8 months before that, it was like, oh, not so much like I've arrived, I'm here, but if that wasn't where I aspired to be in terms of growing up on that music or like for these to become my peers or co-workers or whatever, like those were signs, if you will. But I say when it clicked, when everything clicked as far as turning the corner and getting your things together, it was probably 5 years later, past having a major deal and all of that. It was the light bulb goes off of like truly controlling your own destiny. Because as much as I talked about like having a job, not having a gig, like working in certain systems, still had some of them, standards to it, if you will, like operating within I don't even want to say the confines of a record deal because it's a two-way street. You sign up for it, so you kind of
Sure.
accept what come with it. But later, like realizing the tool the internet is or was, and getting out ahead of that, forward thinking, figuring out how to use everything that I built up to that point to empower myself. It was like that light bulb moment of like, man, I really can do this myself, or I'm gonna do this myself. And I got everything that it takes to get where I'm trying to go, and nobody's better at being me than me.
Sure.
I hope that don't like sound arrogant, but I think that's true for anybody. You the best you and create the best version of yourself, so to say. And it was at some point around 2009, I was seeing artists that I hadn't heard of before, to me, kind of like pop up out of nowhere and was a big deal. And I think it was like Wiz, Big Crit. Not saying that they hadn't put in the work to get there. I'm saying how and where I heard of them.
For
And I was
sure.
like, man, this is kind of out from the internet. I ain't cut on the radio and hear them. I ain't cut on the TV. And I started to, pay attention to how people were servicing, how their music was reaching people. And it's really just, you hit the ground. I mean, I think I had the old school grind ethics as far as you used to have to be in people's face. Put like I'm knocking on your car window and check my CD out.
Sure.
Like so from that, I'm like, oh, this easy. I just gotta email somebody and ask them to put my music on their site or pay them whatever it might be, or I can share it to the masses. Like it's not to press up CDs and pay for every disc that I press. Like the you
So
know
we gonna get